Hello everyone, it's Leo, and it's time to talk about episode 4 from MIRAI Days. This was Hisui's wake up. I feel like it was her wake up in so many different ways, and I feel like her character is becoming more and more interesting. We're seeing more sides of her now that she is growing up, and I'm enjoying her journey so far. And this episode made me realize that Mirai Days is dealing with a very small cast of characters, or at least it is focusing only on their main characters, which are basically Mirai, Riko, Mofurun, and Hisui. Hachan, girl, where are you? What's going on? But they are dealing with those characters only, and because of that, there is space for them to do things like they did in this episode. Different than the first three that had this feeling of mystery and this feeling of investigation, this episode was able to deal with a little adventure, a little misadventure, and just had the characters have a little bit of fun while also have a little bit of conflict, which is more to the part of the relationship that they have, especially Mirai and Riko taking care of Hachan. So I feel like the show, even though it's going to be a 12 episode series, it has space to deal with this. Because if we look at the secondary characters of Mirai Days, they appear and we kind of get a glimpse of what they're doing with their lives, what's going on with their lives. And that's it, basically. We do not see like a huge glimpse or a huge dive into their characters, which I have absolutely no problem with. I think that this is the best way to handle this show. I mean, the best way would have been to have Hachan with them. But, she is not, and this is part of the story. And as I said about Hisui, I feel like this episode has shown us more sides of her, but also showed us that she is growing up at a very fast rate, and she is now having the personality of a teenager. She is going through her rebellious phase. And while she is very rebellious, she also is someone who demands a lot of attention every single time. She asks for things, but she doesn't ask for things. She demands things from Mirai. And Mirai plays it out. Mirai is that type of mom that is not able to say no to her kid at all. And Riko tries to do it, but Riko gets so tired that at the end of the day, she does the same thing that Mirai. And, Hisui keeps on asking, like, she tries to play with magic and she can't use magic, so she asks Mirai to do it. And she gets frustrated with it. But at the same time, she knows that both Mirai and Riko, they had a very strong relationship with Hachan because they mentioned Hachan lots of times. And she sees pictures of Hachan and she wants Hachan, no matter where she is, to help her by giving her magic. But she asks it in a very demanding way. That is her personality. And that's so interesting that they're using the same voice actor that Hachan has. Hisui's interpretation, or Hayami Saori's interpretation in Hisui, is so different. Completely different than than her interpretation to Hachan. And that is glorious in my opinion. I feel like she is doing the best job because she is killing it as Hisui. I was going to say as both characters, but we don't see Hachan that much. And the big adventure of this episode is that they stop their investigation into Ayer, but they start doing the MAHOU TSUKAI job, and this time they're asked to help a girl find a cat. And they help this girl. And, they start searching for this cat everywhere. They use magic. Hisui tries to help. She can't. And, Mirai ends up using magic so that she could communicate with the cat. They buy sweets. Mirai is wearing her magical girl costume, her witchy costume, but she is being looked weird by people at street. And we even see Kana, who is a girl who, in the original MAHOU TSUKAI, almost got the secret of the MAHOU TSUKAI PreCure, but this never happened. And look, I am very happy that she just appeared, very fast. It was just like a gag and then she disappeared. Because girl, every time that she appeared in MAHOU or the episode would focus a little bit on her, to me, it was a bore fest. oh my God. And I'm so happy that she barely appeared here. And this is connecting to what I have said before about the characters being so like background characters, honestly, because what matters is the adventures of the main cast. And in here, we also see someone following them, and Riko notices that someone is following, and someone is like watching what they're doing. And when she goes to confront this person, it is actually her father. But before that, every time Riko tries to make a comment about something, Hisui makes it about her in a way that it feels like Riko is criticizing Hisui. Riko is saying something bad about Hisui or saying something good about someone that Hisui doesn't do. It is exactly like a teenager. It's her phase. It's her rebellious phase. And I love that Mofurun tries to say it, but Mofurun says it pancake, because the word in Japanese is similar to pancake. And I mean, I love Mofurun so much. And the translation that was used on Crunchyroll, rebellious phase, rebellious glaze, oh my God. It was great. And then when Riko sees that it's actually her father that is watching over her, we see something that is going to play out later, which is that her father knows that Riko is now a woman. She's a grown woman. She is a professor on the magical world. But for him, she would always be his little baby. And when Riko listens to this, she kind of connects with this because she is dealing with Hisui the same way. But Hisui does not like being seen as a little girl. She likes being seen as someone who is growing. And it's interesting because I was thinking, when I was watching this episode, I was thinking about Hisui's identity. And I feel like that must be a very tough crisis inside of her because she was just born. And she's just having the experiences in her life. She doesn't really know what she has to do apart from being with Mirai and Riko. And she's just having fun. She's just asking for things and she's enjoying things. But who is actually she? She doesn't even have a name. She didn't have a name before meeting them. And she doesn't know who she is. She's growing at a very fast rate and she has a big personality. It must be hard being Hisui. And she was very angry at Riko. And so she ran away. And when she was running, she bumped into Ayer, and Mirai actually helped her. And, we have the dome being created with Kana almost seeing everything again. And we have the girls transforming into Pink Daya. And I love this because Sapphire is the only one that hasn't been used yet. And because of the vision that they had, it's interesting that they're not using Sapphire. It makes a lot of sense for them to use all of their forms except for Sapphire, because if they have almost been defeated and they see a very ominous future, and the future is with Sapphire, so let's just not use Sapphire so that this future will never come. But then Ayer creates a monster, but this time around he fuses the monster with that incense that he has, and the monster is way stronger than before. I really am enjoying the fighting scenes in Mirai Days. They are so interesting, and they are making the most of all of the Linkle Stones. Not all of the Linkle Stones, but because there are a lot of them, but they are using a lot of the Linkle Stones, and I really like the creativity with the powers. I love how they use the amethyst, or Cure Miracle uses the amethyst here. But unfortunately, they're not that strong to defeat this monster yet with this power. And they lay down on the ground, and Hisui is the one to stand in front of them. And they're all like, Hisui, run away. We are doing everything we can so that we can protect you. And then at that moment, by listening to what the girls are saying, and the girls all defeated, trying to stand up, she notices that they are doing their all to protect her, even though sometimes it might look diminishing to Hisui. And I like that. I think it's an interesting choice that they did it. Did it here? It's not that original, but it works very well. But then we have the huge moment of the episode. By seeing that, Hisui really wants to help those girls. She really wants to protect Mirai and Riko, who have been protecting her since the moment she became existent. It's even hard to define what is going on with her. But yeah, that's what happened. And then she just stands up in front of them with her wooden wand and tries to use magic. But then this time, the magic actually comes out of the wand for the first time. And this is a beautiful magic, beautiful green light. And while she is using this light to stop the monster, she sees a vision. And this vision is none other than the owner of MAHOU TSUKAI PreCure, Ha-chan. We see Ha-chan for the first time. I think we only saw her in her queen form and also Cure Felice in the first episode. But Ha-chan, it's the first time. So Ha-chan appeared to Hisui. And she was able to connect with Hisui. They touched hands, and Hisui was able to use a tremendous power. And the monster was gone. And with that, the girls were also powered up. Cure Miracle and Cure Magical were also powered up. One interesting thing about all of this is that Ayer doesn't seem to want to hurt Hisui, I think. And it feels like everything that he is doing is to bring power to Hisui. It feels to me that he needs her stronger. And I feel like that moment that we saw, that ominous moment that we saw, is a moment in which Hisui will be super strong. And he needs her to be super strong. I don't know why, but he needs her strength. He needs her power. And I feel like that is why he is doing and he is attacking, even though he knows he's going to lose, because he knows that this is going to build power to Hisui. And he tries to touch her. We see the girls trying to fight back. We even see Mirai, Iriko's dad, joining in. Iriko's dad is so handsome, by the way. He's more handsome now. Way more. And we see him trying to stop Ayer, but Ayer just goes away. And everything is fine. And the episode ends with a comedic scene between them and, Hisui making magic to find the cat, and the cat mysteriously appeared. We know that it was actually Riko's dad, but it was a very funny scene nonetheless. And we end the episode with this funny moment of the Hisui wanting to make juice, and then the juice that appeared is orange juice. She doesn't want orange juice, she wants apple juice. There's no apple juice, and she's like, Cure papa, cure up, pura papa, Mirai, go shopping. I loved that so much. And, that was the end of it. And I feel like this was a very different episode. And it's, as I said before, it's interesting that Mirai Days is doing a different approach. This fourth episode felt completely different than the other three. And I like that. I feel like it is a little closer to the original MAHOU TSUKAI. And I mean, for me, who is not a huge fan of MAHOU, the original show, this made me look at this episode and say, look, this is probably the one I liked the least so far. But I can say this because Mirai Days has been really strong. The first 3 episodes were just gorgeous. The 3 episodes were really incredible. And I feel like the 4th one was also good. Not as good as the others, but also very good. So obviously this makes me more excited about Mirai Days. And it's interesting that the family relationship is now stronger between Mirai Riko and Hisui, and obviously Mofurun. But this is going to be even more interesting for us in the future. And I'm curious, now that Hisui has got the blessing from Ha-chan, is something going to happen to her? I'm hyped. Anyways, babies, this was my opinion on Mirai Days episode 4. Please leave yours in the comments. Let's keep talking about it. Anyways, babies, this is it. I want to take this little time to thank the members of the Magical Cinnamon channel. If you're a member, thank you very much for your support. And if you've watched up to now, thank you so much as well. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bye-bye.